Welcome, class, to Whithams Widgets. As we all know, a widget is part of an operating system, more commonly known with our computers and our Android phones. To me, a widget is small bits of information that will give you an understanding to what I expect for performance, additional insight into the course material, assignments, etc. In this first widget, we're going to discuss items that will prevent you aggravation, emailing me, and numerous hours wondering why your grades are not higher than you expect. We're going to talk about collegiate writing. The CSU writing standards and APA formatting are also included with this. Often the difference between an A and a B come from repeated writing violations and discussion board participations and postings. As everyone is familiar, there is no extra credit issued in this course because it is not approved by CSU. This widget is to help you find common areas where points are available that are not capitalized upon. I provide a link to the citation guide in the first of my course announcements, my welcome announcements, as well as the APA guide. Many violations I continually see are related to written projects, assignments, and papers that miss many of these items. Even if the assignment is to create a form, it is required by CSU to have a CSU cover page. Many fail in regards to the running head and indented title on many subsequent pages. Missing or improperly formatted cover pages can pull points from two sections of the grading rubric. As you see in this example for a CSU cover page, in the top left-hand corner we have running head, and then the title of the paper, all in capitalization. And in the center of the page is where we have our title, our name, and Columbia Southern University. These are required by the CSU writing standards that you'll find. Moving along, another thing I'd like to talk about is the students are still not developed with their collegiate writing skills. Many students will still create small or large paragraphs or run-on paragraphs. A proper paragraph, especially for collegiate writing, is 4 sentences at a minimum and 6 sentences at a maximum. Everything in this course requires additional support. Essay answers and exams, research papers, other written projects, all require support for your stance or claims. This is done through in-text citations from books, articles, etc. You can use the assigned course textbooks and materials, or you can use outside sources for supporting your claims. Every time that you're sitting there trying to justify a stance that you take, either right or wrong, it is best to validate and substantiate your claim through the uses of additional sources. This only increases your proficiency as a collegiate writer, but also as your stance as a subject matter expert. Written response essays, as part of your exams, are a minimum of 200 words unless directed otherwise. Some will list 300 words, some will list 150, some will list various other aspects. My requirement is, if it doesn't say otherwise, it is a minimum of 200 words. 200 words is exactly that, a minimum word count, which in turn sometimes gets minimum points. Written response essays are required also to have at least one in-text citation and corresponding reference. The citation and reference can count for anywhere from 7 to 5 points for each question, and not attempting them is again points left on the table that you're not maximizing as a student. This will also sit there and create the wages to where you can have a difference between an A or a B or a C, etc., throughout the end of the course. Minimum word counts on written response essays or during your weekly exams is located at the actual test question. So make sure that you verify that it doesn't stipulate a different word count as a minimum word count. And then make sure that you sit there and meet that word count when you submit your test. Please review your assignments for grammar and spelling errors, and understand the grading rubrics that are provided with you in the course. When you're sitting there trying to maximize the use of points and available points, especially with writing, the rubrics are what we as professors are standardized to grade to, evaluate from, and move on from there. The more that the student has an understanding of the rubric, the more success they have when they draft their answers. Now on to discussion boards. A discussion board is 100 points per week over 8 weeks, and that will make a difference in your grades. And they're very easy points to claim, but you have to do your part. 2 responses are a minimum. 1 response to the initial question and 1 response to an additional student. However, that is the minimum, and 1 or 2 sentence replies are not the intent of the assignment that you're looking at, and they will garner very little points when you sit there and submit a 1 or 2 sentence reply. A good response is around 200 words or more with supporting evidence. A I like or agree with your stance is not an answer. If you're going to go with an I like or I agree with your stance, you're bringing in additional information to it. Again, it's not a 1 or 2 sentence response. The discussion board forums are our classroom. This is the area where we like to debate the subject, approach new thoughts, exchange information from one another. Sometimes it can sit there and work to our benefit because we get new information that the student may have sat there in the back of their mind, thought that they wanted to try within their agency or had seen some applied someplace else before, and it worked. So the discussion boards are ideally our classrooms where we exchange all this information. A lot of times students start emailing me about 6 weeks into the course asking what they can do to get extra credit or increase their grades. When you start these items early, it will provide you the success later in the course. Like I said, the difference between grades are often the little things that students can work on all throughout the course. We are not allowed to give extra credit. I don't give extra credit. However, when you sit there and participate and maximize the use of your points, you are always going to sit there and get the upper hand on grading points. And then towards the end of the course, you're going to find out where the difference is made up with those grades by not procrastinating or waiting till the end of the course, but actually facilitating the early advances by getting involved, getting on top of it, and then working your success route from there. Whithams Widgets is not always going to be a video. Sometimes it may be a PowerPoint or an annotated note. But we're going to sit there and work with Whithams Widgets every week that you sit there and see class. If you felt that Whithams Widgets are beneficial, or even this one is beneficial, let your fellow students know about it in the break room feature of the discussion board forum. The more that they may sit there and benefit is by you sharing the information that you learned from it or highlighting their point to it. Not everybody reads all the announcements, even though we preach that you need to read all the announcements and where you can find all the material. College, at one point, or still at this point in time, is an exchange of information, sharing of thoughts, sharing of what works. And if Whithams Widgets works for you, share it with your classmates. Thank you. Enjoy the class.